It's so fitting.
This is an amazing call. Claudio Silvaggi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Claudio Silvaggi and Laura J are having January 20th at 2:03 right now. I happened to be reading The Greatest Salesman, scroll 10, and that's not the full title, so forgive the error, but we had just got to the point where Saul has returned from Jerusalem to my birthplace in Taurus. However, I beg you, let not my appearance deceive you. I am not a bandit from the wilderness, nor am I a beggar of the streets. I am a citizen of Taurus and also a citizen of Rome. My people are Pharisees of the Jewish tribe of Benjamin, and although I am a tent maker by trade, I have studied under the great Gamaliel. Some call me Paul. He swayed as he spoke and Hafid, not fully awake until this moment, apologetically motioned for his visitor to sit. Paul nodded, but remained standing. I come to thee. There's been a name change just in that little brief bit, right? Paul nodded, but remained standing. I come to thee for guidance and help which only you can give. Will you permit me, sire, to tell my story? Erasmus, standing behind the stranger, shook his head violently, but Hafid pretended not to notice. He studied the intruder of his sleep carefully and then nodded. I am too old to continue to look up at thee. Sit at my feet, and I will hear you through. Lower yourself to me, and then I will do as you wish me to. Paul pushed his sack aside and knelt near the old man, who waited in silence. 4 years ago, because the accumulated knowledge of too many years of study had blinded my heart to truth, I was the official witness to the stoning in Jerusalem of a holy man called Stephen. He had been condemned to death by the Jewish Sanhedrin for blasphemy against our God. Hafid interrupted with puzzlement in his voice. I do not understand how I am connected with this activity. Paul raised his hand as if to calm the old man. I will explain quickly. Stephen was a follower of a man called Jesus, who less than a year before the stoning of Stephen was crucified by the Romans for sedition against the state. Stephen's guilt was his insistence that Jesus was the Messiah, whose coming had been foretold by the Jewish prophets, and that the temple had conspired with Rome to murder their Son of God. This rebuke to those in authority could only be punishable but with death, and as I have already told thee, I participated. Furthermore, with my fanaticism and youthful zeal, I was supplied with letters from the high priest of the temple and entrusted with the mission of journeying here to Damascus to search out every follower of Jesus and return them in chains to Jerusalem for punishment. This was, as I have said, 4 years ago. Erasmus, 2020. Erasmus glanced at Hafid and was startled, for there was a look in the old man's eyes which had not been seen by the faithful bookkeeper in many years. Only the splash of fountain water could be heard in the garden until Paul spoke once more. Now, as I approached Damascus with murder in my heart, there was a sudden flash of light from the heavens. I remember not having been struck, but I found myself on the ground, and although I could not see, I could hear, and I heard a voice in my ear say, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? I answered, Who are you? And the voice replied, I am Jesus. Whom are you persecuting? I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and enter the city, and you will be told what to do. I arose and was led by the hands of my companions into Damascus, and there I was not able to eat or drink for 3 days, while I remained in the house of a follower of the crucified one. Then I was visited by another called Ananias, who said he had been visited in a vision and told to come to me. Then he laid his hands upon my eyes, and I could see again. Then I ate and I drank, and my strength returned. Hafid now leaned forward from his bench and inquired, What then took place? Leaned forward from his bench. So this is the story of a magistrate. I was brought to the synagogue, and my presence as a persecutor of the followers of Jesus struck fear into the hearts of all his followers. But I preached nevertheless, and my words confounded them. For now I spoke that he who had been crucified was indeed the Son of God, and all who listened suspected a trick of deceit on my part, for had I not caused havoc in Jerusalem? I could not convince them of my change of heart, and many plotted my death. So I escaped over the walls and returned to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, the happenings of Damascus repeated themselves. None of the followers of Jesus would come near me, although word had been received of my preaching in Damascus. Nevertheless, I continued to preach in the name of Jesus, but it was of no avail. Everywhere I spoke, I antagonized those who listened until one day I went to the temple, and in the courtyard, as I watched the sale of doves and lambs for sacrifice, the voice came to me again. This time, what did it say? Erasmus spoke before he could stop himself. Hafid smiled at his old friend and nodded for Paul to continue. The voice said, "Thou hast had the word for nearly 4 years, but thou hast shown few the light. Even the word of God should be sold to the people, and even the word of God must be sold to the people, or they will not hear it. Did I not speak in parables so that all might understand? Thou wilt catch few flies with vinegar. Return to Damascus and seek him out who is acclaimed as the greatest salesman in the world. If thou wouldst spread my word to the world, let him show you the way." Hafid glanced quickly at Erasmus, and the old bookkeeper sensed the unspoken question. Was this the one for whom he had waited so long? The great salesman leaned forward and placed his hand on Paul's shoulder. "Tell me about this, Jesus." Paul, his voice now alive with new strength and volume, told of Jesus and his life. While the two listened, he spoke of the long Jewish wait for a Messiah who would come and unite them within a new and independent kingdom of happiness and peace. He told of John the Baptist and the arrival on the stage of history of one called Jesus. He told of the miracles performed by this man, his lectures to the crowds, his raising of the dead, his treatment of the money changers, and he told of the crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. Finally, as if to give further impact to his story, Paul reached into the sack at his side and removed a red garment, which he placed on the lap of Hafid. "Sire, you hold in your arms all the worldly goods left behind by this Jesus. All that he possessed he shared with the world, even unto his life, and at the foot of his cross, Roman soldiers cast lots. All that he possessed he shared with the world, even unto his life, and at the foot of his cross, Roman soldiers cast lots for his robe. It has come into my possession through much diligence and searching when I was last in Jerusalem." Hafid's face paled and his hands shook as he turned the robe stained with blood. Erasmus, alarmed at his master's appearance, moved closer to the old man. Hafid continued to turn the garment until he found the small star sewn into the cloth, this mark of Tola, whose guild made the robes sold by Pathros. Next to the star was a circle sewn within a square, the mark of Pathros. As Paul and Erasmus watched, the old man raised the robe and rubbed it gently against his cheek. Hafid shook his head. Impossible. Thousands of other robes were made by Tola and sold by Pathros in the years of his great trade route. Still clutching the robe and speaking in a hoarse whisper, Hafid said, "Tell me what is known of the birth of this Jesus." Paul said, "He left our world with little. He had entered it with less. He was born in a cave in Bethlehem during the time of the census of Augustus." Holy shit. Hafid's smile seemed almost childless. Hafid's smile seemed almost childish to the two men, and they looked on with puzzlement, for tears also flowed down his wrinkled cheeks. He brushed them away with his hand and asked, "And was there not the brightest star that man has ever seen which shone above the birthplace of this baby?" Paul's mouth opened, yet he could not speak, nor was it necessary. half had raised his arms and embraced Paul, and this time the tears of both were mingled. Finally, the old man arose and beckoned toward Erasmus. Faithful friend, go to the tower and return with the chest. We have found our salesman at last. And, if I may, oh my word, Claudio, this was a page in the second summons that I was issued for I got a charge for speaking at a rally in 2021. And when I sent 2 lawful notices to say I wasn't going to step into the corrupted courts and could deal with it privately as a woman in my private capacity with all common law rights reserved at all times, I was reissued another summons with the box checked that I needed to attend, plus this page, which had nothing on it except for at the very top, there's a little white man with a walking stick. And I didn't know whether he was going frontwards or backwards. And then it dawned on me today to look at this page again because I had included a reply in the inks that stained differently because of the timestamp. I had included in my actual case, what is the significance of this page? I do not understand. So I said, I'm not connected to this because I actually worked as an assistant probation and parole officer in the summer of 2009. So I saw this page in other people's documents, and I knew that if it was in there, it wasn't an accident that it was in my paperwork. And that's exactly what we're talking about in that story that I know you have astrological insight into. I don't. But I needed to bring this in because I also have created the High Rose Prism that actually is the backside of law within the chessboard of the matrix prison system that is the monarch. So,
Beautiful.
uh,
Beautiful.
yeah, it really literally is. And my friend Vivian, who has 5 charges for staying open during the
Nice.
lockdowns, she gave me these. So we're doing something incredibly magical because I just want to read these questions and then I want to get
Please.
your insight on all of what
Sure.
has transpired since the recording went on. What I said, is that a walking stick? Because at first I wasn't sure what to call it. And then I realized I just typed into chat GPD or GPT, what are the instruments the blind use, which is very relevant to this actually, which is the hierarchy of the hegemonic priesthood in league with the Ren and Wa in the tour, which is what I've just realized is the larger hegemonic ideology that is then being upheld by the ideological state apparatuses underneath of it, then reinforced through the repressive state apparatuses that have then the public-private sector, which is the private sector of the public domain where the municipalities are now being incorporated under a world government that's actually above the nation state of the federal government. We're used to being the top of the league.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So those questions, is that a white cane? Because I looked it up. Is that a white cane used for mobility and orientation for those who are visually impaired? What would have happened if I hadn't challenged this page on the sheet? Would my status have been affected had I not noticed the implied error that I am blind? What would the implication of that have been in all of its potential expressions? Why was this imposter sheet permitted to enter my case? Is this just a test that most people overlook? How can people working within the private sector of the public domain live with the lie their role upholds the hegemonic bully system of that is powered by us who step into roles that drain our life force in exchange for monetary gain by fulfilling orders for the corpse that tried to entrap us? Who slipped this document into my documents?
So that actual little image they sent you?
This was the second, third, or fourth page of the summons that I received after I didn't show, and then they needed to check an extra box.
Hmm.
So And then all of my affidavits of service were blank, which meant there was no affidavit of service, which means it was improperly served, which means it shouldn't even be valid in the first place.
Yeah.
So I just so happened to have pulled that out this morning, and then I went over and grabbed the greatest salesman off of where I'd left it when I went to get my colorful markers. So, and then actually, I'll just share this too. Back in 2012, I lived in England. And so this was actually I think this was when I went to London for the Hay House conference, or it was a Mind, Body, Spirit conference. I went to London for a Mind, Body, Spirit conference where Gabrielle Bernstein was speaking. And so I went to meet her essentially, and then also be in London. And there was this booth where an artist would actually kind of draw your soul image. And it was the image of Jesus channeled through her to give the message, as how she interpreted it, as one who's in line with Ogmandino's story, which is also very relevant, and I want to unpack in a different way later. But she basically channeled this through, and literally it was me writing in black and white and then introducing color, which I went over to get my colored markers when then I saw this book underneath my colored markers, and I've just been writing and literally ended the reading from the hierarchy of creation in a recreated world that I'm posting. Literally, it just finished composing to be uploaded during the time I was reading this. And it ends with an emperor who wears no clothes. So your turn.
That's beautiful. Well, first of all, I got to say that, wow. It's beautiful to watch ourselves and then others that are getting all these synchronistic, beautiful alignments, because it's what we're experiencing is astrological. It's there. It happens. Babylon falls. We move forward. Now it's just our test of how we're going to stay heart-centered during the whole process while we induce others with love. So when you're sending that beautiful, loving document saying, hey, I don't have to show up to your court, right? Most of the things that we experience is because of karma. So we had 2,000 years of lifetimes accumulating karma, and now it has to drop. Everybody's got to stop giving each other karma. The court systems are delivering our karma, because two people can go into the courtroom with the exact same story, exact same thing. One will get off, one won't. One's been doing their spiritual work, one hasn't. So there's a difference there. So as you're doing your spiritual work, this is going to work for you, right? If it starts seeming like it's not going to, then we got to look at, okay, what haven't I asked for forgiveness for? Because it's mine, it's my waters, right? If you stand in a pond perfectly still, put your feet in it, you throw a pebble way out there, those ripples will come and hit your ankles. That's the karma, right? So we have both good and not good. So that whole court system has to fall now, because we are getting our own crook and flail, right? We are the Jesus in that story. We are the Horus. We're on the wheel. We're getting reeled in. It's now the age of Aquarius, which is John the Baptist, right? John the Baptist is the forgiveness of sins, the forgiveness of sine waves, the forgiveness of the waves we've left behind, because we are the transmitter receivers of our actions, right? So as long as we stay heart-centered and know that not every apple falls from the tree at the same time, all our brothers and sisters that are out there, we're patiently waiting for them. It's not a competition. It's not a judgment. It's the way it works, because not everybody can be exactly the same, because this wouldn't work. So physics equals metaphysics. So it's all happening, and it's just invigorating to watch and listen to you speak, because you understand the whole hierarchy and what's happening inner and the outer. So yeah, it truly is beautiful. You said a lot of things. I should have made a couple of notes that I could speak upon, but I thought, no, let's just let it flow where it wants to flow.
Well, I have a friend that I just met on Monday actually at a local community support alliance group that is really strong in my area. Norfolk County, Branch, Oxford, we're strong. Like we've
Yeah.
got a lot of people that are out here that are also of the fear perspective of prepare for the worst and pray for the best.
Right.
And so I want to help them understand that every hat can be taken off. And ultimately, we have a top cat or a top hat at the top of an ISA, which is the ideological state apparatus, that is reinforced with a repressive state apparatus that then directs those at the bottom who are the debt slaves and tells them, and which is us, in this box what to do, compared to when we're in our glass outside in the present moment. We're actually in the infinity. That's our glass before it becomes in the hourglass.
Right, exactly. And then everything flips over and we are become the atlases, that which holds up the sky, which hold up the world. So everybody has, so each and every one of us, in Psalm 82:6, it says, I said, ye are all gods, plural. So we're the manifestors of our lifetime. When I do astrology, I can see everything. Everything is in there. It's part of our karmic journey. So at any point in time, we can become pure love-centered, ask for forgiveness. The Ho'oponopono is a great tool, but if you don't start with, it's my fault, I threw the pebble, and then you throw the pebble, and we keep throwing in boxing match Hatfields and the McCoys across the ages, we then realize that we have to wait, we all have to stop. And when we all stop, then it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's written in the stars. It happens. Babylon's falling. It's fallen, right? And there is no they. That they is us. We're just right. The they is us. Right. The they is us. It's us. And so as long as we stay heart-centered and visualize the outcome and realize that the people that aren't getting the rabbit hole stuff, we just got to realize it's not their time. But as long as we do it with love, we vibrate their right to their core. Right. Right. So
you really have it.
It's happening. It's happening. Now it's up to us individually how we want to move forward. So we have to tell everybody it's all happening. We do take down Babylon, but it's not going to be on the offense to take something down. It's be on the offense to love, and the love takes it down. Because they're waiting for their induction of love, so we all become coherent, right?
Right.
Just like in a magnet.
Yeah.
And a lump of iron, before it becomes a magnet, all the atoms are they're spinning in different directions. They're not coherent. Mm-hmm. And it gets induced by dielectricity, which is from the ether, which is pure love. Mm-hmm. Then they all start spinning in the same direction, and then we become one again. So the analogy of that iron having no loving attractions to it, to becoming other than to itself, when it gets induced, it makes that vortex that starts bringing magnets together, the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening right now. We're all becoming one, and nobody's exempt. You can't stop it. So the they, which is us, realizes itself. Right. So it's absolutely beautiful. It's just now patience and guidance, because everything is guidance. Everything around us, more and more, just like you said, you pick that up, and it's all synchronistically coming together as long as you know and trust. Biggest thing is now, so since we moved into Age of Aquarius on November the 27th, and we're on that cusp, which is an energetic cusp. So basically we're being shoved through the eye of the needle. All the resistance has got to go. That's the virus. That's the cleanse. Something is leaving us. You can't get something. No, we don't have anything. We can only leave us with the love. So those vibrations, the emotal waters, right? If it's not loving, it's going to be muddy. And that means the light can't penetrate it to invigorate you. It's got to cleanse first. So when people are going into courtrooms or going anywhere, they have physical things happening to get a timeout so that they realize who they really are. That's happening. It's happening everywhere. So it's a beautiful thing, right? We predicted that we're going to have a corona chakra cleanse back in May of 2019, 7 months before they announced the coronavirus. It's all in the stars. It's a cycle. We are truly being reeled into the age of Aquarius. But here's the thing. We got to be less human. And that's the part that people aren't are resisting. They got both feet in the material world. They need to at least put one toe in the spiritual world so they can start to see, right?
Right.
So it's all happening. It's absolutely beautiful. But we have a part to play, and we just got to trust the process, and we'll be guided and know exactly when. So like you know right now. So if I would pull up, if I didn't do your chart, right? If I would pull up our chart, this moment is in there. It's there. It's supposed to meet our, now we could have been in this meeting or not based on our free will. But because our free will is choosing the path towards love,
Yes.
then these happen.
Yes.
Law of attraction kicks in.
Yeah. I had a friend just call also. So the magnetism is here.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's,
And those that aren't there yet, they'll all be attracted together, and then they're going to mass learn. There's where your wars come in. No, there's no such thing as a war. There's only mass karma. It's trying to wake up a whole bunch of people all at once. Right.
Well, I think the information that I want to share with people is doing that, but
Yeah.
like actually using real constructs. Have you heard of the Global Family Group?
Nope.
Have you heard of Anna von Reitz?
Yes. Yes.
So the Global Family Group is said to be the financial education or the financial platform that is working with her quantum system. And ultimately, crypt means hidden or secret. And basically, with the awareness of ideologies that are founded by ideologies that are basically corporate in nature because they're apparatuses that we only play with in our mind. Basically, there's a de facto government that is currently at the helm of the realm that we dwell within and have a responsibility to claim our right to maneuver without interference, and then exercise our right to not have impositions put onto our position, compared to being contracted and then made to be other than we are through the forms that we're then passed around and applied and implied to be through the paperwork that is the counterfeit version of us that we're being implied to be. Which is like when you say about be less human, we got to be more whole man.
Exactly.
And that's also where we then understand that humanism is actually the fount of the problem, because what it implies or insinuates is that the spark of light within us that gives us God source is intellect, which is to say it's knowledge, not life, which is heart, which is why it hits at the core of the French word for heart.
Exactly. Exactly. Have you done any research into the SESQV Act?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm going to preface this because I kept saying to Kathy, Lilith on your natal Lilith is coming up, and Lilith is the cat. Lilith is Sekhmet on Egyptian walls. Lilith is Medusa. Lilith is the temptress. But she also brings beautiful gifts, right? And so that means if you're overcoming temptations, part of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, she brings great gifts. Well, I told Kathy, hey, 3 weeks ago, Lilith is going to be on your natal Lilith. I wonder what that's going to bring. What snowed like crazy that day, this is what, last Friday? When was it we had that snowstorm? Did you have that snowstorm?
Sylvia says, Dawn suggested I follow a guy on constitutional conventions named Claudio.
That just came in?
No. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So during that snowstorm, all of a sudden I seen a flash, right? And then you could hear a thunder. Kathy saw a ball lightning, not your typical lightning, a big ball of light. She said the orb was coming towards her. This is Lilith on Lilith. That night or the next day, a guy that we know that we just met, who's on his whole journey of doing his whole law thing,
right,
says, hey, Claudio, where the heck have you been? Because I reached out to him saying, hey, I wanted to bring him over to POG because he's into that. He says, I didn't even get a chance to say that to him. He goes, hey, I'm going to help you out. We figured it out. We know how to do the SQV. It's like, wow. Now, here's the whole Lilith and temptation thing on that day, because Lilith is the temptress. So I went and I do my own tarot reading with Deuce's Wild Poker. Okay. I sit there and I go on the game and it speaks to me, the numbers. I can ask questions and I can read it. All right. So I says, I know that this is going to be part of the fall of Babylon, because when you show people it works, then it shows that the Babylon needs to fall.
Yeah.
You can't, the person that's doing it for monetary reasons is not spiritual, won't be able to get away with it. They won't get the documents. It won't get signed properly. So that's important to know. Those that are pure of heart that want to do it because, hey, no, we're going to get that. We're going to help reduce other people's mortgages because that's karma, because it's Age of Aquarius, karma gets released.
Right.
So if you're interested in being a part of learning that, Kathy and I have been studying for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well,
if you're interested,
yeah. Okay. Sorry. Sylvia's asking if she can join us, if you'd be okay with
absolutely, of
that.
course.
I'll send the link now. Wow.
Perfect timing. This is another synchronicity. This is
It's
so wild.
234. This is like, this is exceptional. I'm very excited. Yeah, and you've even got the circle and the image behind you, which you always evidently choose, you explained last time. So while I invite Sylvia, if you would explain your background picture, I think it would be relevant.
Sure. You know, I never really noticed, but I guess there's somebody threw a pebble in the pond there.
Whoops. Ooh, I didn't mean to join us. Reclaim, stay participant.
I was gonna say that looks like you.
Okay, here we go.
Well, no, wait. One of them is a straw man. One was the real one.
No, I hit the I hit the meeting by accident and it copy link. There we go. It went straight through compared to there we go. Yeah, I spoke with her and Amanda and Paula, I believe it was. Oh, darn it, sorry. When they watch the replay. That's the naughty thing about recording private conversations, but they're not private because this is also essential information.
And it's in the but it's in the Akashic record. There's no such thing as privacy. Every action we make, it doesn't matter. It's stored in the waters. It's stored in the waters everywhere. Yeah.
You got it. You got it exactly. We talked for 2 hours yesterday. After I talked to Sylvia for like probably 45 minutes or so after the Freedom Rising meeting at noon. And I had shared the win of working on this course and like nearly being complete with it. And then having the retreat. And then Moz actually commented about I just come to sell my wares and degrading what I contribute because he doesn't see it to be practical, because he can't see how these theories are actually helping anybody get anywhere. But I'm trying to say theories are the only thing that get people started. Because if you don't have a theory, like fail to plan, plan to fail. I've been doing it for years, but
right,
you know,
right. In the ancients, it's called via negativa. You have to say not this, not that. It can't be this. It can't be that. It can't be this. It can't be that. I mean, when there's not love, you got to start separating it to get to love.
right.
Right. So it's yeah.
Wow, that is so fascinating because that's contrast that gives us clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So people like it's interesting. I met with Brenda, who will be coming to the retreat hopefully, and then I also met Val, who is otherwise occupied that weekend, but she actually teaches equity and trust law. Powerhouse women. And
Trust law.
On the way back, apparently Val told Brenda that I'm 10 layers deep or 10 levels deep. And Brenda was like, "You mean 10 levels high?" And she's like, "No, She's 10 levels deep into the iceberg.
In 10 levels in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cutting, it's through, so it's the manor houses on top of manor houses. So it's just like, I like this man is taking offense that connected me to the global family group because I'm saying I don't trust it. It didn't give me an email like it said it would. Then you disappeared. I've got no evidence, and they took my bank, or my, not my bank. I didn't put my bank information, but they put my they took my driver's license information, right? Like just the number. But I gave that because Top Cat said that that's his alias handle. And so he's saying that it's slanderous because people know him by that alias. And I'm saying, but the Top Cat fits perfectly with my top dog hierarchy scenario. And then Global Family Group also ties in because we were always warned the next war would be nuclear. We just weren't told it would be the nuclear family model that is a nuclear family model war.
Right. So the age of Aquarius is etheric water. So this is the flood. This is the flood in the Bible. The flood is the pole shift because Eris, Isis, Madonna, Mektekelwaddle, White Buffalo Calf, whatever you want to talk to her about, that's the love induction cycle. 558 years is a cycle for those making age. She's moved from Pisces, our feet, least amount of love, most amount of free will, into our head, Aries, arise. So that means that's the metaphysical flood. This is the story of Santa Claus, right? Coming down the chimney. In Italy, it's not a Santa Claus, it's La Befana. It's the woman, it's the divine feminine, it's pure love. We're being induced by pure love. It's the cycle, it's the flood. And then the war is a metaphysical war of masculine versus feminine in each and every one of us. So the whole image that we go, we don't watch TV anymore. I don't let any images in unless they're beautiful and loving, because I want my waters to be clear. So when the alignments come in my chart, they're invigorating. I got no muddy waters to cleanse. I mean, I still have them because there's still things coming up that I repaint, noise canceling headphones, right? The love wave trumps the non-loving wave. And the only way you can do that is reimagining them with what you want. We know that we're visualizing the end game because it's being shown to us because it's going there anyway. It's how much we want to bounce off the side of that boat before we jump in the love boat. Mm-hmm. And that's our resistance. That's the material. That's the human in us that wants to stay human, but it's time to move on and there's no choice. Instant karma is upon us and it's going to keep exponentially increasing. Instant karma meaning don't go that way. Don't go that way. All these signs, like somebody wants to join us today. It's all making perfect sense because we've been studying and imagining this whole thing happening by the guidance of that orb light came towards Kathy. My brother, right before that happened, my brother called and said, my brother said, hey, call me. I called him. He's on the phone with me. He saw the flash. We saw the flash. Orb went towards Kathy. I took the exact time and date. She should have saw that orb, what's lined up in her. People in Detroit, 20 miles away, saw the flash. So it's a flash of love. That's dielectric injection. Like you're taking that magnet to the lump of iron to be coherent. So it's happening. It's absolutely happening. So it's a beautiful thing. It absolutely is. So now, what do we do with this information? We're being guided, we're being directed, and we got to trust the process.
Ripple effect. Like that was a song that I told Robin Benedict that I wanted to do with her. And I had mentioned it to Susie Corey as well when we were still doing album 22, which we put together 2 albums and we're working on another one now. So we have 44 songs, 22 on each of the first 2. Album22.com is the site. And so we've got artists that came together during the pandemic in order to support one another and collaborate efforts and try to create a banner where people could actually come together. Nobody was profiting off of the project specifically, but people's name and song would get out and exposure would hopefully lead to a larger fan base was the intention.
Beautiful. And you're based on donation, which is perfect.
We didn't even make any money whatsoever.
Right. No, I know, but it's you can see if you want to support. That's the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Like when I do astrology, it's always free because if you want to keep your wings, you chase the loving and you chase the love boat that's here, and it's called jump in. And you can't. I'm always I'm not judging, but it's like you get everything you need when you trust the process and you follow the love. So if I tell people, they says no, but I want to pay you. I say I can't take one because now I'm putting somebody else who's got money over somebody else who may really need it. So it's important and I always say, if I ever need a sandwich, I'll ask you, I promise, you
Mhm.
know, because it's all about necessities. And Kathy and I, that we've been knocked down to next to nothing several times, but always something shows up right at the last moment. And we trust that process. We totally trust that process because it absolutely works because we're powerful. We're powerful gods and goddesses.
Yes.
And all we got to do is trust that process. Yeah. It's,
Absolutely.
it's, it's amazing. Yeah.
So album 22
Yes.
led
Go back to that
to
story.
album 24. And album 23 didn't happen because I couldn't get it together. I didn't have all of this together. And then I was trying to share while going through it, and people weren't quite sure and how much time would be invested or needed. And so it was just a start and stop, trying, can't. We lost the year. We didn't lose it. We gained so much. I pulled together this information to be able to start the course at the end of the year, was when I started the intention to lay it out in that fashion after writing 2 reports, one that I published in March 2022, 3, and then the other one I haven't published at all, which is called The Real Story of Rome. And I break down Rome as an acronym for the reality of our empowerment,
Beautiful.
or the reality of my empowerment, but my and our are both first person accounts of my story's perspective, which is our story's perspective, except for you have a unique perspective of our story from your vantage point,
Right.
because we're dealing with the subconscious, the superconscious, and the supraconscious, plus the conscious, right? So people are not accounting for the superconscious, which actually apparently sees things backwards, upside down, and inside out. So that's the soul's experience of the all from its individuated vantage point. And then each of us have a unique supraconscious that is special for us and our perspective uniquely. And then the superconscious is the consciousness that connects us all. And then the subconscious is the storage on the computer compared to the external hard drive that's unlimited. Or not limited. It's not unlimited, actually, if it's captivated by an ideology or a thought system or a school.
Right.
Then it's the
Right.
domain that has been dominated by the claim of dominion, which has
Muddy
an
waters.
sign
Right.
right before the ions, that is dominated,
Right.
right?
Right.
Dominant,
Right. Now
which,
your words for super consciousness, the ether, the all, power, source, it's love. It can't be any other way. When you go do the physics equals metaphysics, you'll find that that super consciousness is love. So when we connect to love, everything, you gain all your powers. There's refuge there. We are manifest out from the ether, from the no thing, right? And it's love. It's pure love.
evolve is actually spelt, so love is backwards, evolve, but then
Mhm.
there's another VE at the end of evolve to the love. Evolve. There's two
Right.
V's because it's frontwards and backwards.
Which makes your hourglass and 2 Fibonacci spirals. The word love comes from the glyph
Oh
for
my God.
Eris.
Pardon?
Yes. The word love comes from the glyph of Eris, Isis, Madonna, the one that does the phoenix rising. So if you take the O and you bring the line straight down, there's the L and the O, and you put the V on it, that's pointing to the point in the middle, and the E is the Fibonacci spiral. When you look at the E, it's not an E, it's the Fibonacci spiral. So when you take the other E and the V, so now you got a V in and a V on the bottom, right? Here, I'll just draw this really quick.
Oh my gosh. I have to show you the picture that my friend Rose painted for the album cover of album 24.
So you got an E and a V and an E and a V. This makes your torus field, right? So then you can put the big O around it to make both of them. And then the L is the light that goes through the all, right? So the L, O, V, and the Fibonacci spiral, right? This whole thing has every letter is a glyph off of the Egyptian walls. They all have meaning. We put them together because we lost our way in the Piscean age. We can no longer communicate with images, so we had to use our voice, our Taurus voice, right? What did it say in the book? I am from Taurus, right? Because we had the only way we can do things is with speech, but now the collective consciousness called the internet is back. We're even going back to emojis. We're going back to images. Images is what, again, Moses parts the waters with images. Right.
I just literally, did you hear the beep of the airdrop that I just sent to
No.
myself to show you, which is that picture that I was talking about?
Okay. I didn't hear it. No.
Okay, well, it's ridiculous what is going on here.
Mhm.
But it's not showing up because it didn't, sorry, it didn't go as fast as what I was hoping for. My computer is doing a whole lot of things. There we are.
Oh, yeah. A lot of weird things.
Well, it's just really overloaded because I need to clear it up so that then I'm clear.
Right.
She
Yep.
painted this.
It's beautiful.
It's soul painting. And basically, this is the album cover for album 24, which is building the artists, giving the artists an opportunity and platform to share their insight, knowledge, skills in a constructive way. So, creating the new cultural fabric and then having a playlist as the third prize that gets to come out on the third anniversary of the first two albums, July
Beautiful.
22nd.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this is what I've been working towards for the last year and a half in terms of album 23 that's now 24. And then this is the album cover.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful, beautiful cover. Good for you.
And
Bless you.
Rose did that, and then she also did this, which is my soul painting. And there's the Emerald City that is separated with the wave that's also a feather pen. And then there is the thousand lotus flower with the roots to the new orderly world that we're creating now, with the blossom of the bulb and the golden light on the laurel crown that my name is based off of. And then the third eye intuition with the drops that help me say, like, oh, let's go down this random rabbit trail that nobody would have thought to think is maybe even something.
Beautiful. And La Aura, I'm sure you understand La Aura, Aura, and AU, the gold. And yeah.
Say again. What about me?
Laura,
Yeah.
AU is in there. It's gold, right?
Oh, I didn't
That's the symbol
realize.
for gold. Oh,
Right.
no. And La Aura, your golden aura. Mm,
And Ra
yeah.
is in there also after the gold.
Ra, the sun god, right, right. In
Oh
my name, I
my
have Claudio, right? I have AU, and I have Dio. Dio is God, is Christ, is Ra. Yes.
God. Wow.
The names are really, really important. Our first names, our given names, they're
Right.
very, very important.
Yeah. Well,
Kathy's got very strong Lilith. Her name's Kat.
right. Well,
And Lilith is the Sekhmet, is the cat. I've had Kathy's all around in my life and Lilith's both. My mother's name's Lilith. I grew up on Lillian Street. Best friend's name's Lily. So it's all there. It's all there.
Wow. Oh my God. Claudio, we're doing it.
What?
We're doing it.
It's happening.
It
It's
literally is.
happening.
We're on the leading
It's
edge of the
happening.
wave. Absolutely.
It's
Wow,
happening. Yes.
this is exciting. Um,
It's a
I,
beautiful part of our journey.
oh my God. Um, Claudio, I would love to show you the video that I am literally going to be posting. Um, I don't know whether you have time for that. And I
I'm
just,
I'm golden.
you are
I
golden.
don't think I don't have anything else today set up
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
other than who comes knocking on my door, right? That's I just
right,
sit patiently while I'm studying and somebody will knock on the door, whether it's physically or on Zoom or on Telegram or Facebook or whatever.
right.
It's all divine. It's beautiful. Everything is beautiful. It's all divine timing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah, let's
I've got some internet sites that are uploading, and I have, oh my God, you don't need to see the video that is going to get posted. You need to see the video that no one has seen because it's not posted.
okay.
I got this on Christmas Eve from the Bloom Festival, and I've got the whole presentation by the Beehive Collective, which is about the Mesoamericas. And I'm sitting in the silver dress with the wig on. And then Paula property it was hosted on
Beautiful.
is sitting there as well because we went down together. So this is the presentation no one else has seen yet.
Look, I can jump right in. Look at that beautiful background.
So it's three.
TV, and I'm glad to be here once again. Today
Oh,
is
wait.
June the 21st. It is the first day of summer, and I don't know where you are, but where I am, it is still particularly cool, even though the Weather Channel said that we had the warmest spring or the warmest May since whenever. Now, I brought that up. We were at a family gathering last night, and I brought that up, and a lot of farmers not there, and they're going, "Say what? The warmest May? We've been freezing to death. Crops aren't going that good." So, it's always propaganda, always propaganda. What you see with your eyes and what you know to be true, the media tells you the opposite, and you're supposed to believe it.
Well, isn't that a beautiful little segue to have gotten included? I'm going to just start this over. And this is Saku, who is doing this presentation. She's one of the Beehive artists that actually made the original canvas. And then there's two other ones that were beside this. Exceptional. Oh, no. Well, wait a minute. That's not working. Oh, well, my computer maybe thinks it's doing
Everything happens for a reason. It's okay. I'm patient. I got patience.
Thank you. Interesting.
Well, Saturn is overhead right now.
Okay, well, let me just and it's 101:42 right there. Okay, let me reopen. Maybe I meant to share with you the video that I just did this morning. Okay. This is the one. It's true that we are going on a journey to how Mesoamerica was overtaken. So,
Awesome.
darn it, why is it now going on its side? So interesting, Claudio. Wow. I just reopened it and now it's positioned in an inconvenient way that I don't know how to change, but instead of looking at it myself, I'll just bring it so you can see it too.
Awesome.
And so this is plan Mesoamerica. All right, how do I move this? Will it let me?
You should be able to go up at the top and say in view and then rotate view.
Right.
Try that.
Quick time player, perfect.
Yeah, it was right back one. You can see rotate right, rotate left.
Oh, good.
Rotate right, and you're dot. You should be all set.
Excellent. Okay.
It's just working on it. Oh, it went twice.
Well, we're gonna go back.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's just gonna flip it. This is
Flip vertical again. And flip vertical again. And then we're gonna flip left.
right. It's all, yeah, give it a try. Is this wild or what?
Yeah, it is. And then we're gonna hit left again. And we did it!
Yay! It's even works now. See, it just wasn't time yet because now Saturn is exactly overhead, exactly overhead on the midheaven. So it's all about timing and patience.
Right now?
Yep.
In this moment. Okay, of course. Okay, here we are.
Showcase two dramatically different perspectives. We have the view from above, or the top-down perspective, and then when you open it, we have the view from below, or the grassroots perspective.
Wow.
As you can tell, this top-down perspective is drawn in the style of an old world map as an illusion of colonization. And the idea is that from so high above, all you can see of this land mass that is Mesoamerica are the large infrastructure projects planned for the region. Dams, pipelines, mega highways, factory zones, airports. And it's resistance to these projects that's the theme of the overall piece. Now, one aspect of this old world map I could zoom in on, I did a little bit for you last night, was the compass roads with the representatives of the banana and coffee industries, two export crops that have had an outsized influence over the region. They used to call countries like Honduras or Costa Rica banana republics because of the influence of this industry. And in fact, Pita Bananas, of course, is the rebranded United Fruit Company, who was responsible for the 1954 coup against Jacobo Arbenz in Guatemala. That coup paved the way for a US-supported military dictatorship, followed by a civil war, which was later branded a genocide because of how much it targeted the Mayan people. And so they're, kind of reciting over this roulette table, gambling with the future of Mesoamerica.
And the names that are on it are logos of companies?
Yes, these are the two figures.
Yeah.
And then these are kind of more like, some of them are companies like Ford, and we have the IFC, which is the International Financial Corporation, which is kind of the private wing of the World Bank Group. And so this map also serves as an economic snapshot of the region. So all these boats represent various industries, imports and exports, both historic and contemporary. And it's kind of fun to guess at what like the industries we're trying to represent are. If you want to guess at any of the boats.
It's 303. Okay, this is phenomenal. The plantation lady also strikes me to be similar to the Aunt Jemima character or caricature.
Oh, Chiquita?
Yeah. Like wouldn't that kind of be like the North American equivalent? They just create the same brand image in a different fashion, literally get her to wear her fashion differently. And then it's the same model with a different house, different banner, different logos, which is where all of the ISAs come from.
Mm.
So, like, this is your top dog. This is the hegemonic priesthood. This is the backside of the prism of a 5D chess game, where the backside is the queen, whose name in French is Reine, who gets to come up with the branded ideologies that support her king, and he then brings back for her to gain domain and reign over the mercantile area of commerce, because the buy shop came in the back door. And then we've got the land, air, and water. Actually, she'd be the war. The queen is the war, and the land would be the dominion or the domain that's dominated in disguise, and then the bishop is the heir of the ecclesiastical canon laws. So your land, air, and water.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's all about the divine feminine, love, 100%. The masculine is done. When we wrote what's on the Egyptian walls for us to remember while we went through this 2,000-year spiritual Alzheimer's, it was always a matriarchal system until we fall into the Piscean age. So for a couple thousand years, the man took over because there was less love, but it's a cycle. It's a Fibonacci spiral. It's holographic. It's beautiful. We're infinite. Get over it. We're infinite, and we are from pure love, and we're going back now. We went through the least amount of love age, and now we're gonna have another 20. We're gonna have 24,000 years of much better experiences than we just had.
Yeah, most certainly. This is exceptional. This is wow. I have an hour or more worth of footage from that meeting that I picked up on Christmas Eve that was recorded in the summer, that I realized the significance of it, and also the way that it worked, that I got it, ended up connecting me to a brilliant woman who is into the theater of oppression and is literally a leading scholar, doctorate type level involved in theater of oppression, which I hadn't heard of, that actually has forum theater and legislative theater as aspects of it, as well as there's a rainbow part and a few other sects, which are the sections of the document. That is what people aren't seeing, is what any ideology ultimately is an expression of. And it's the doc you mentally attach yourself to, and then you're corded to the ideology. So it's the documents, you're docking your mind wherever you place your signature in the documents, and then sign at the line where Anubis comes up from the underworld to claim us.
Exactly. It's all there. And then it's all based on our images, right?
Yes. It's literally all based on the image that we portray publicly, and then who we really are in private. And then that secret side of us that we're scared of anybody finding out is the part of us that is what needs forgiveness the most.
Exactly. I don't lock my doors anymore. My karma's my karma. I don't use incognito names anymore. No, if there's something left that I have to ask for forgiveness for, I want it in the open. Right? So I leave everything open, because the waters have everything. The waters remember everything. So you can't run, you can't hide, you can't, because it just follows it with you from this life to the next.
Yeah, well, this is the piece that people aren't recognizing about soul ties when we're, hating on people and getting the vengeance mentality of mob mentality, get them! Like, the people accrue the karma for that. And then we got to come back here and resolve that which we didn't resolve because we just killed the fucker. When,
right.
Like, what did that really solve other than fornicating under carnal knowledge continued?
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's the Piscean age. So we're out of that. So people won't be able to deliver that karma anymore because it stops. It's the forgiveness of sins. It's the forgiveness of sine waves. On the Egyptian walls of the Dendra Zodia, you can see John the Baptist pouring waters on those that are in bondage. Right? We're in bondage. So then now we get released as the gods who get to create with Mother Nature, at one with Mother Nature. All animals have their rights restored. Anima in Italian means soul. Animals are our soul guides. They come and give us messages. If you go look at the cardinal points, when the planets move across the cardinal points, it's literally minutes. Just like it wouldn't line up till Saturn got totally in line overhead, and then the video started working. So I watched that. So that's why you have cardinals at the Vatican, because they were able to read the charts. So everything is divine timing now, and we're done out of the Piscean age. So that war thing, people are just going to keep getting that law of attraction. They're going to go to where one is if they really want that, but they can snap out of it. But they're going to get shown the reality of what they're seeing, and then they snap out of it. It's just it just has to happen. It's the stars that guide us to back to one. That source, we're connecting and we're getting refuge in it. It's mother. You're going to get a hug from your mother. Everything's going to be okay. But you two get in that room over there. You're going to get a timeout, whether you fall on your bike or fall down the stairs or whatever it is. You get in that room over there and don't come out until you guys forgive each other. And that's the ticket. We really do got to ask each other for forgiveness. So right now, because we're in the same room together, I always say this to everyone. Please forgive me for not being a loving man I should have always been. Thank you. I give you great gratitude for your guidance, showing me what I need to change. I love you. I forgive you for delivering my karma, because if I don't forgive you, then you don't release. And now I repaint that all our world around us is all going to be in unity and harmony, and we're all going to understand the same thing, that it's time for everybody to ask everybody else for forgiveness. People's charts don't clear when they say, I've forgiven everybody, but you haven't asked for forgiveness. So I ask you, Laura, please forgive me.
Thank you. Thank you for acting honorably and leading the example, or leading the way by example.
Right. If everybody does it, it ends, and everybody has to do it.
Yeah. This is precisely.
It's a perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute honor at 312 to be with you.
Same here. So your friend's not joining? I thought she was joining.
Evidently, she wasn't able to, but wants to connect with you.
Okay.
So I will send you her contact information, and I will post this video. And is there anything else that you'd like to share? And we'll do a little private. I'll stop recording and say a few things. Is there any final message that you might want to share after this call today? This exceptional call?
Yeah, it's all divine timing, and it's all about love and forgiveness. And as long as we realize and don't just judge ourselves, because we are our own infinite world. We are the gods and goddesses of our own universe, and then we're just helping each other to get back to that one love. So I really appreciate all the time and everything that you do, sister, because we're all a part of it. So thank you.
My absolute pleasure and honor, and everything that you had said to everyone watching about forgiveness. I am doing my best and ask for forgiveness also, and also to say that where there is a lack of forgiveness, or a lack of compassion, or a lack of ability to see the context that creates the approach, I would really love the opportunity to be able to come together and set the example for how to actually be in community together in a trustworthy way, and to actually create the resonance vibrational example, so that now we have to be responsible, because now the forums are not just going to be used by those selling things that have people attached to them, but instead are going to be where we see karmically how our consequences have choices that need to be faced. And instead of retracting and feeling like a loser or taking ourselves out of the game, when your shame ultimately causes destruction for us all, because if you take yourself out of a game you're a key player in, you just didn't remember it because the hero needs a victim. and a villain in order to have a role, because that's what titles require to actually not be whole, but to seem that way. Like, we're all heroes without the titles because we don't become a hero until we get the title. But without the title, what are we? Living lives that matter. So your life matters. And if I have in any way caused you harm, loss, or you believe it to be fraudulent or scandalous or slanderous, anything that has been said, then I say that we have a public duel, and not use it as fuel to go on dividing and conquering through other divisions and sects and expressions of community that have been factioned because of these fractions of truths without context. Let's come together and hash it out, and let's actually rise not to the top, but just actually be present and enjoy the sunrise and sunset together.
Beautiful.
Yay. Thank you. That image is perfect for today. Peace out.
So.